Ladies and gentlemen, I want to present to you the only two-time International Award winner from DuPont for International Award of Excellence, and a great marketer, knows our industry, and a good personal friend of me and Valerie, LenCasey.
Just a couple of things about what we're going to see today. I was with you in Las Vegas, and I drink a lot of water. I was with you in Las Vegas, and I was again privileged to be with you last year. We talked both times a little bit about the preferred client strategy. I happen to like that one, but you've already heard it, you can play little games with it, and it's one of those strategies. No matter how many times you hear it. And my friend here, Youngblood, she said to me before. She said, "What's your first name again?" Sarah. She said to me that she had remembered it with her husband twice, and now he's not here. Now you got a new presentation. He's not even going to know about it. Charge him when you get home. But anyway, I said to Steve, how about is there something else you would like to talk about? He said, well, I would like to talk a little bit about branding. And he said, it's going to be a little shorter this time. And that was the direction I got before I got here. So what I did was I thought, okay, well, I was sort of interested to do something a little bit different. And it's not something I'm not used to. I mean, the particular subject matter here, but just another way of looking at it through your eyes. And in fact, however, when I started to do it, I knew I'd need a little practice on it. And I went to my AV guy, which I've used for 22 years, back in DuPont days. And I gave him all the stuff in advance and said, look, I'm going to need a little practice on this. It's a new one. So, allow me a little time. So he called me on Tuesday of last week and said, you won't believe this. After all these years he's been doing this stuff, his computer disintegrated. It was a new computer, too. So programs lost, everything else. I didn't see it till Saturday night, and I came here on Sunday. So this will be new experience for both of us. So we'll both see how this thing works. The other thing, too, is that the idea, what I'm going to take you through a little bit, we're going to take a look at brands. And what is the purpose of a brand? And what should you expect to get from it? And then, I couldn't resist it. I want to take you into what you really need to do to get the most out of it, which brings me back to my roots and my core beliefs about everything I believe about business. So you get a thread of this, whether it's preferred client strategy, or anything you do with me, you will get a certain tendency to get back to this one subject. But when I started to think about it, and the magic of the brand, and I have a website that Steve actually gave to me as a surprise, and Robert Conley wrote it, and it was about 8 years ago, I guess you gave it to me. And he used some of the things in there based on things that I had written. And I never saw it until it was finished. So if you want to have some fun sometime, it's called strategyacceleration.com. And it's a fun website, and I say that not because I had anything to do with it, but it was Robert Conley, so you got a good guy that you work with there. So what we're going to do is just take a look at branding from a global point of view. What are brands all about? What can they do for you? And then what do you want to do with your brand? Because a lot of work has been put into your brand. You have 21 peerless values and qualities. And those things help to establish your brand. And by the way, I am so informal you won't believe this, but anytime you want to interrupt me, say I don't understand that, I didn't hear what you were saying, the concept doesn't make sense. By the way, I love your flyer thing. You're my hero. Somebody, after 30 years, finally listens to me. No, you did great. I have to stop. I have to tell you reminded me of the story with Sharon Snyder with the rubber band. That's absolutely a true story. I actually forgot that part about me actually doing that. And we did get her a bunch of leads, and she sold them. Yeah, damn right she did. And the remarkable part about that was, I didn't have anything to do with them business-wise. It was just, I just thought there was Steve had a wonderful business called Decorating Den, and I know probably they're a competitor now in some ways. And in this company, he had really 250 franchises, a big group of people, and they were the most interesting and wonderful people. As a matter of fact, they were very much like yourselves. They reminded me of the same feeling. And Steve was working on, they had Minneapolis. Gordon. Had Gordon Kramer working on a design part and Valerie on the design, and the people were hungry for information about how to market their companies. And if you live in a small town, you know, you can do a lot of things. If you live in a big metropolis, you got to watch your money. You can blow your entire year's budget on one ad the wrong place. So that's when I got the idea. I said, well, you know, you could do a lot for these folks. Do you mind me sort of jumping in with my opinions and helping them out? DuPont's paying for it. Why not? And that's how we got these little challenges and looked at ways how I would market a business if I had your job. And that was the idea behind it. Anyway, this is a little bit about brands. Let's start about it, the 30,000-foot view, and take a look at what a brand is. You think about the magic of a brand. In a single word, a symbol, just a mark. You know everything about that company, their products, their people. You have such a feeling in a flash. So your head, instantly you know what it is. And you think of it in products, wonderful products that we know of, like a BMW. And you can even contrast a BMW versus a Mercedes. Instantly in your mind, you have a place for that. Williams-Sonoma. Apple or Microsoft. You both see exactly what they do, and you see what the differences are between them in a split second. There is Ritz-Carlton. It's that sort of immediate feeling that you get about what that company is all about. And that is part what the magic of a brand is. Now, these are mass market brands. Then there are other brands, though, that have problems. If you remember over the years, anybody remember what an Etzel was? Anybody? It's like 4 hands. 1958, I think it was. I wasn't born yet, but I was thinking about being born. God, that doesn't even work anymore. Oh, God. Etzel, anybody know what they look like? Watch. Isn't that cool? That's Etzel. But the word Cadillac was the one that all throughout, even before the 50s and the 40s and 30s and everything else, but in the 50s and even into the 60s, a Cadillac, God bless you, a Cadillac was the finest automobile on the planet. I know even sitting here at this moment, and they're trying to get their way back, but they were the finest automobile that existed. And people even refer to the word, much better than any other crossover, the word itself would indicate that is a Cadillac of sport jackets. You know, this is a Cadillac of a convention center. I mean, it was the way you would express the best. And then some idiots, not probably, in the 70s, came up with this idea that they could spread out the brand, cheapen it, take it down to a lower market, put a car out called this Cadillac Cimarron, which was really a Chevrolet, a bad Chevrolet, X-body Chevrolet that didn't work very well for Chevrolet, and called it a Cadillac, and just violated every client that they had who bought that car thinking they really got a good value car. They have never recovered from that. Never. And even today, you know, I know the lady in that red car says when you turn your car on, doesn't return the favor. I heard that one. But it doesn't quite get back. Look at the revenue and value that they lost by lowering their standards, by taking a cheap trick, by compromising their value at the wrong moment. It happened to Cadillac because they made a mistake. It happened to Etzel just because it was probably a bad idea to begin with. And Firestone, poor Firestone actually made a superior tire that lasted so long that the steel broke inside the tire before the tire actually wore out and created all the problems that they had, and they got themselves into a lot of trouble with that. Unfortunately, it wasn't a willful behavior on their part. Well, they were good brands with good memories, but there are bad brands, so brands can go south on you if you don't work together on maintaining the quality. Now, there are some personal brands, just to add this in, because Steve said, well, you've had a lot of experience with brands. Why don't you show some of yours? And I'm just going to mention them. But brands where I had, at one time or another, worldwide responsibility for, Teflon, Silverstone, Xerox. Anybody remember Xerox? It was an antifreeze car care product. One time I had 54 automotive placebos I took care of. It was just wonderful. It's like the kid's dream of a job. Corian, which was actually, it turned out to be one of my favorites while I was at DuPont. And then over a great bottle of Chardonnay, I got the bright idea to buy a company. And I retired from DuPont early and bought Heritage Custom Kitchens. And that turned out to be sort of a cabinet store, and it was a wonderful opportunity for me. And then after I sold Heritage in 1999, I became sort of the accidental consultant, but I was such a terrible consultant that my first consulting client hired me and asked me if I would be the CEO of their North American operation, which I did. I told him I'd do it for a year until we find somebody. And then I just finished that up a few months ago. So we did find somebody finally. It wasn't that the job was so bad, it was just actually it was so fun. And that's the brands that I have responsibility for. The reason I mention these are each of these brands had a different function. They had a different value, a different importance, and things that they were supposed to be giving us. So the rules are different, and it's because when you have a brand, brands are capable of doing a lot of things for you. But the question you have to answer, what is your needs? What are you trying to do? And that brings in a whole different element of what the brand is going to be about. Because a brand can be for mass retail products. They can give you an image that you're trying to communicate in a short period of time. They can give you reliability, consistency. They can support your position. They can differentiate you from your competitor. And that's part of what these brands, what a brand can do for you. And therefore, it involves you knowing exactly what your needs are. Because,
Go back a slide.
you want to go back a slide?
Please.
See, I did that, and no hands. Oh, you're writing all this down?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
I think it's important. No?
If you write down something really good down here, would you share it with me later? Because I need some good stuff. This is the first time I did this. So this is like, the next time you see me do this presentation, same presentation will have a lot of stories in there because you're going to give me some feedback that I can use. But anyway, any of these items that are listed up here are the kinds of things, and you don't need them all. You need the ones you need to fit your business. Let me just take a look here. Is it okay now? You got it? Okay, good. People have choices. People can do lots of things. And what I did was, just for the purpose of this, I went on the internet and I looked at just blinds. Home Depot. You can all hiss anytime you want along the way. Hissing is okay. And what they do is you can find any blind, any price, whatever the deal is. What's the next one? Sears. Same blinds, by the way. Same prices, plus or minus a little bit. And then I looked at this Empire guy. You know what's interesting? I figure when between furniture stores and these guys, I'm going to wait till I get some more bad medical news. The guy says, you only have 4 years left to live. So I'm going to go out and buy all the furniture I want, buy all the carpeting I want for the place, because you don't have to pay for 5 years. No interest, no payments. So I thought, wow, what a great way out on that one is. So the first thing I want to talk about, when you see that big crowd of people, you say, how in the world, who's our customer? And a little trick that I like to use along the way, you have to do two things when you look at markets. You have to segment your market, which nobody ever thinks about doing, and that's what I want you to do all the time. From this day on, you have to do this to your client base. And the other one is partition. Partitioning a market is to say, well, how many here are in the window covering market? Smart, huh? You should see what he pays me for this kind of stuff. It's worth every cent. All right, I also had a kitchen business, so I was in the kitchen market. And then I had KWC, which was a faucet company, a Swiss faucet company, so I was in the faucet business. The problem with that whole thing is those words are okay for partitioning a market for neatness, but they have nothing to do with markets themselves. There is no such